That's interesting. It's like what you see lack in others is what you lack in yourself.
We don't really know people. We assume we do.
Maybe you are in emotion that feels heavy or feels a lot, that it's something that shouldn't be happening. That you should not be going that route. But that's just not true.
Like, I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to be a better husband. But I had to be better for me first.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jade Jones, your host of Mental Edge, a podcast by Conscious Athlete by Grit. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm here again with Coach Joseph Swift, the famous. We've got our Conscious Athlete gear representing, and we're excited to talk about this podcast today. Today, our topic is intention versus fear. We did a shorter video on our YouTube channel with Coach kind of explaining briefly what this topic is and the difference between intention and fear, how they correlate, and that's what we're going to dive into deeper now, because I think it's a topic that's very prominent these days.
Yes, it is.
We're going to start with the definition. How many of you guys actually look up definitions of things? Be honest, because I don't.
I tell them to do it all the time.
Yeah, I never did until I met Coach, and he was like, look up what that really means, and then you'll be shocked at what it really means. So we're going to start with intention, which is a thing intended, an aim or plan. And then fear, which is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. So that is just starting off with the definitions. Coach, what do you kind of think of those definitions right there?
To start with intention, it's something that I discuss all the time with my athletes, is set a goal, set a plan, and intention definition said aim or plan. And a lot of times I've learned that in my own life, if I don't aim for it and I miss, I can't be angry that I missed. And most people don't have an intention or don't set an intention to aim for anything. Mm-hmm. So you're aiming and you say you're aiming, you miss, you don't achieve that goal. And then the biggest thing is like, oh my God, I failed. I'm like, how did you fail? And you never knew how to achieve that goal, and you never aligned yourself with that goal. So intention to me is, I think if you set a pure intention, you're always going to accomplish your goal. And if you say, let's just say I want to be a professional athlete of any sport, if you fall short of being a professional, you can analyze back and understand why you didn't reach that goal. The fear part is always like, I never really pay attention to the definition of fear, never really did. So false evidence appearing real, that's enough for me, because it's just false. It's thinking what I would say to y'all often: stop thinking your thoughts, try to create, set an intention and create the new that's ahead of you or it's in front of you. So with using those two definitions or reading those two definitions, I really would love to unpack from the athlete's perspective, what is setting an intention, especially if you know me, because I know I said a lot of things. I kind of flipped it on you, but still.
Yes, from athletic perspective, what is setting an intention? Well, when I was younger, in them young days, my intention was to just be at track practice.
True. Yeah.
But I don't think I was taught how to set an intention and go for it. So that wasn't something that was familiar to me. Now that I'm older, still running, setting intention to me is, I'm learning that it's you put that goal or whatever, or I want to be great at this sport. You put it out there and you work towards that, and the commitment starts today. And so if you can stay committed to that every day, then whatever greatness comes from it comes from it because you stay committed and you're consistent. Because I've seen that work in other areas of my life, and even track, you stay committed, we stay committed, and I stay committed, and now I have this permanent technique, run. Yeah. That's from commitment and hard work. Or I have this work ethic that even sometimes I don't even notice, but other people notice. That's all from commitment and maybe setting intentions that I didn't realize that I set. But it was because we were in Grit and we were around you, and there was expectations and standards, naturally you just I feel I took on that you work hard. And it kind of just became a part of me. I want to excel in this sport because I want to help younger athletes here. That's what I really want in my community, because there's not only a lack of seeing people strive and continue striving for something like a sport, especially because where I'm from, it's not very, people expect you to give up what you love because of your age or because of any factors. Yeah, your age, you're too old, you should probably, retire or whatever. That's where the retirement thing happened. So it's like, no, I don't have to do that. That's your expectations, and you can deal with whatever you didn't strive for. But my goal is to be like, no, you can leave high school, you can go to college, come back from college, you can do whatever you want, and you can still go for your goal and get back on the track and run and actually make yourself like excel in it. So coming off of that, Coach, talking about like that intention versus fear thing, how do you maneuver through fear? And because, intention and fear, they coincide. When something comes like intention versus fear, and fear is coming up, because the definition says it's just an emotion. That's what it says. And the emotion can be anxiety. Maybe you're scared of something. I don't know. How do you maneuver through those moments?
How do I maneuver through those moments is honestly simple for me. Is I don't try to escape them. I know that the process of life is not supposed to be easy. It wasn't meant to be easy. We're not designed for things to be easy. We're very resilient as people in general. So I've come to understand that at a young age, to where like I don't expect anything to be easy. So to get through it, it's exactly that. You just keep going till you're through it. And yes, that sounds simple. It sounds like, oh yeah, just wait, just hang on until it passes. No, my intention is to continue down the path until I get through it. And I always say you have to go through it to see the other side. I always be like, you got to go through it to come out. You have to go through a lot of things. And a lot of times as people, and I've been a victim of that myself, is of avoiding the reality that I'm in. I try not to avoid it. And what I mean by that is, or an example I can use, when we first started Grit here in Arizona, the intention was to help athletes. The goal was to help athletes. I am now today, and I think we briefly talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago, receiving the reward from helping athletes more than I've ever. Like, yes, we've helped athletes get to college. We've helped athletes in conversations and different things. But my intention and my fear was, can I do that? Can I help athletes? Yes, I can. I have a wonderful wife that lets me know that some of my things are, the stuff you have to say is important. So I try to bottle that up, and I share as much as I can. And that is my intentions. I did not set out for Grit Athletics to have all these superstar athletes. I set out to make better people. And that was my intention. And that was my fear. So I just kept going. And now, like I said, it's been over 10 years now. I'm now receiving the reward of the consistency. So that's how you do it. You just keep going. Well, that's how I do it. I don't want to speak for anybody else, because there's a lot of different ways you can go through things. But that's how I get through things. I just continue to go. And it's not fun. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people can think, or our brains can easily trick us into thinking that because something is hard and because it, like, maybe you are in emotion that feels heavy or feels a lot, that it's something that shouldn't be happening, that you should not be going that route. But that's just not true.
Yeah.
That is the fear working at its finest.
It's exactly what people say. I've heard a lot of people say, you're the man of steel, you never let anything phase you, all this stuff. I'm extremely affected. I'm extremely sensitive. I'm extremely vulnerable in a lot of ways. And vulnerability, I believe the origin of the word is wounded. And you have to be open to be wounded to understand what vulnerability is. So there's a lot of stuff that people perceive that success, especially young people. When I say people, I'm really saying young. They perceive what success is, but not setting attention and just living in your fear it's a crutch. It develops it cripples you in some sense later on in life. And those are the conversations I'm having now. It's like one of the gritters or ex-gritters say something, and I'm like, you did grit. You know what to do. Keep going. Mm-hmm. I've said that many a times. So.
Yeah. But that is so true, Coach. And the fact that you're now seeing the outcome of like all the time you put into young people, which is amazing. I think in one of our podcasts, we talked about you saying that in the moment when you were changing like an environment, because we were talking about the environment you came into in Arizona, you were saying in the moment that you didn't expect for kids to see an outcome from kids for years down the line with the work that you were doing with them. Yeah. So that kind of reminds me of that. But moving to intention versus fear, you also said in the video, you said that if you're not moving in intention, then you're moving in fear. And that's kind of what you said now. Yeah. And that's super interesting because I think you can be moving in fear when maybe you even thinking you're moving in intention. Oh, yeah. So how do you know the difference of fear and intention, like internally?
It's not a hard question to answer. I guess it is hard to answer depending on, who you're talking to. But if you're moving in fear, it's a level of anxiety and fear. And I'm speaking for myself. I know when I'm in fear because I have anxiety about it. I might be driving and I'm frustrated still about it. And I'm like, oh man, this is not going to work out. When I have an intention, and this is, I know a lot of people can relate to this. When I have an intention and it's going to succeed, I'm angry. And I don't take no for an answer. And if a person says no, then I shift to find where the yes is. And that part is intention. You know what I want. I know what I want. I'm focused on what I want. And someone says to me, well, you can't do it because that's never been done. Mm-hmm. Then I set a harder intention. Okay, since it's never been done, then I need to find somebody to help me do that. Mm-hmm. And if I can't find anybody to help me do it, I'm going to work so hard and so active. I'm going to be so active in it where someone asks me, what are you doing? And once I start to get those outside examples coming to me, then I know my intention is being solidified through my action. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times what I've learned with myself, if I have no action, I stick with fear. Mm. I'm constantly afraid and, anxiety driven, but I have to create action. That's why I'm like, I've said this to many a times. You got to do something. I don't know what to do. Do something. You have to move in order to get, your mind, your body, your thoughts in a space to where you at least is new. So you can say, okay, I was just scared, or, oh no, I like that I did this. But if you just sit there in your fear, and I've done that many a times in my life, it doesn't help me. And I just want to help myself and help other people. So biggest thing that I know I've said to Jade 1,000 times is do something. So yeah, you just move it. Movement is the best thing.
Mm-hmm. I second that because like he said, I've been there a lot of times, and Coach has come and helped with that advice a lot of times, and it takes a lot of times for it to register that's actually means to do something physically. He's like, I am doing something in my thoughts, doing something with the thought to build more thoughts. And he's like, that's not working. You need to do physically in action, get yourself like out of the fear bubble that you keep yourself in, so you can understand that it's not real. Correct. And you can do that with anything. Correct. And it can be something small, the smallest thing that can help you. But if you just sit and spiral and keep doing it. Mm-hmm. Mama Swift actually said you can't change a thought with a thought. So I think that's what a lot of people try to do.
Yeah. Joe Dispenza said that too, so she might have stole it from
him. And Joe Dispenza, that's
not that Mama Swift don't say that.
He's got a great book, Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Can you share an example of something that you were afraid to do, but you kind of walked yourself through it and was like, this isn't real, and you saw a different outcome?
Whoa. My easiest topic, my simplest topic to talk about is being a family man, being a husband, being a father. That was something I did not know how to do. And I would say to myself a lot, you don't know how to do it, but it doesn't mean you can't learn. So how did I get myself through it? I was committed to being everything that I aspired to be. Like I wanted to be a better person. I wanted to be a better husband. I wanted to be, but I had to be better for me first. I had to learn myself in ways that through people. I think that's the biggest thing. I only worked myself through as if you know me, I'm pretty much a loner. I like my alone time. I don't care that I'm by myself, but I also know that I can't learn myself if I'm sitting by myself all the time. I need people. I need frustrations. I need being a coach. You deal with a lot of athletes who have different type of backgrounds, understandings of life. So how I walk myself through things is through people, and the example is with family. Like family, they're reminding me all the time that I'm not perfect. And that's the love part. And that's the biggest thing that we avoid and how we get better. We define intention or we define fear the way we perceive it. Oh, intention is this. And I'm like, that's not, read the definition. And fear is this. I'm like, actually read the definition. But in the reality, we need to stick to what it is so we understand. Because a lot of times I've heard athletes say, I don't deal with fear. And I'm like, okay, cool. So let's go on another rep. Well, I don't know how to do it. Then why can't you do it? Well, I say you're afraid. And the manipulation comes back quickly where they go, well, I'm not afraid. I don't like how you said I'm afraid. Then pick another word. Mm-hmm. The point is we're not getting it done. That's the point. So the examples that I have is just, I learn everything through people. So I said manipulation because what does it matter what word I used? The end result is the end result. If we're not getting the end result, we're moving in some form of fear or anxiety or whatever you want to call it. So I learned myself through that interaction. And we all have that. We go to the grocery store, we're driving, or someone says something about us or says something to us. It's how we react. And I have had what some would say mean reactions to things. Yes, I wish I wouldn't have said that. But at the same time, I'm thinking, why did I say that? So it's really analyzing yourself on how you get through things. It's not about other. If you make it about other people, they need to treat you that way. You're always gonna, in my opinion, you always have it's a form of failure because people, we don't really know people. We assume we do. We assume that, like I said this to y'all, Jade. I say I'm learning Mama Swift all over again. When we first got married, within 2 years she's pregnant, so it's about the child, and as it should be. But I'm now learning who she is. We're all young, but I really love learning who she is. We don't actually know the things that we're afraid of. That's like people. So I learned like my fears through people. I'm like, wow, I'm afraid that I will never make it, whatever my make it is. So I go out to people and don't get me wrong, I've had some of the most horrendous things said to me when I'm trying to be an entrepreneur and I'm trying to start a business, that they would say, basically you're going to fail. You're stupid. And that's a pleasant version of some of the things I've heard, but I learned myself through that. I'm not stupid, or I'm not going to fail. You saw failure. You saw stupidity. I think that I'm out here and you're not doing anything. And I always dealt with it in a level of what is the reflection? What is the polarity? And how do I work past these things?
Yeah. That's interesting. It's like what you see lack in others is what you lack in yourself. I don't know where I read that. Yeah. So credit to whoever put that out there. But
you did. You just said it. You said it.
Yeah.
Jolly Jones. Anyway.
Jolly Jones. And but that's kind of what I was thinking of. Is like, wow, the only fear you project is what you have inside you.
Correct.
So if you're like, oh, this person has this, this, and this, it's like, well, you might need to look at yourself and like, that's what I have.
Like I always say, how you see that? How you notice that? How you notice they got all that? It's probably you too.
And then also what was interesting, what you said was athletes or people saying, oh, I'm not afraid of anything, in that statement in itself is like just being a human and being in human nature, you know, like that can't be true. Whether it's like a level of anxiety or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was interesting how you said if it wasn't fear, then you're just manipulating.
Yeah.
And that's true, because what other word would you have for it?
Yeah.
And I think the first step is to be like, oh, okay, I recognize that I am fearful of this, or I have anxiety when I think of this.
Yeah.
So then you run towards that.
Yeah.
And it's harder than it sounds,
right? For sure.
Because you can get lost in thought.
Yeah.
But
it's tough. No, it's tough. We manipulate ourselves by, like I said, you know, we want to hear things the right way. I don't like the way you said that to me. Like, how do you want me to say it? You know, or as a coach, I get that a lot. I don't like the way you said that. I'm like, so how do you want me to say it? And I don't know, but I don't like the way you said it. So how about I just don't say anything? And then, well, you don't say anything to me. Or a lot of athletes who are on the phone. If I was on my phone, would you say anything? And they're like, oh, coach, you're the coach. But then this is a reflection. Like, you don't want me on your phone and I don't want you on your phone. Stop doing that, you know. And it's just a constant manipulation of environment instead of just observing the environment for what it is. And that's hard. That's not I'm 44 and I still think about like, and I have an encounter with someone, good or bad, doesn't matter. And I analyze it. And that's just from my childhood. That's who I am. So I always want to I'm speaking for myself. I always want to do the right thing, but honestly, the right thing that I perceive isn't always right. So I stopped trying to manipulate myself and try to be so perfect. I'm learning how to love myself, even at my young 44 age, unconditionally. Not being, I guess you could say, not being frustrated that I made a mistake. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, we have to analyze, we're learning to analyze ourselves, and our society it does a good job of helping us avoid ourselves. Yeah, it does. And I'm not angry at it. It's a system that is needed. People, oh my God, social media, these kids are different. I get text messages from y'all and I have no idea what you're talking about. And it literally just happened. And if she sees this, she knows exactly who she is who sent that. That just drove me crazy. I didn't know what she was saying. But in her reality, and she wasn't saying anything mean, I just don't understand. So she's not trying to, I don't think she's trying to manipulate me or she's trying to have me think a certain way. But the fear that she's in sometimes, or no, y'all, because I'm not picking on you right now. You know who I'm talking about. But the mindset that she's in right now is to solve a problem. She's trying to set an intention. So I want to help and be of good guidance, mentor towards her intention. I don't care what, and you've heard me say that, I don't care what y'all do. Just do it at the best of your ability. And that's the problem. And that's I believe we got way off topic from the question because of the breakup. But manipulation is a big part of what we do to ourselves to convince ourselves that we're in the right place. The hardest thing is stop lying to yourself. You're in fear and you didn't set an intention. And if you can say that to yourself, that is acknowledgement. You can hear yourself and then you can move on and move on to your pure intention.
That's bars right there. Yes, coach. Key takeaways. Move in intention. Be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. We all have fears. And if you can stick to whatever intention that you put out there, it could be actually anything. Don't let anybody, don't make an intention based off of everybody else. Make it based off of yourself and move in that. And that's what we are all learning. And that's what we're here for.
Amen.
So,
amen.
We're going to wrap this podcast up with that, leaving you with the bars. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Jade. Make sure to hit that follow button. Follow us on our social medias. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. So get your rounds in.
Set an intention. Get it done.
Set an intention. Get it done. And make sure to hit the notification bell so you can know when we post another podcast. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Peace.
Set an intention.